Hey there, people of the internet, people of the world. I'm sitting here on one of my favorite spots in the woods, on a hill with a nice view on the surrounding or near valley, walking through the woods with my barefoot shoes and my dog. And at the moment the words don't come easy to me, so after the things that happened last week, it was very busy. At the moment I don't really know what to talk about. There are many topics that need to be mentioned, but like I said, at the moment it doesn't come naturally, it doesn't come easily. But one thing I will say, is don't let them drag you into their games. What do I mean by that? It's always the same thing. The next war, the next outrage, the next pandemic, the next crisis, the next enemy we have to tackle, the next left versus right, liberal versus conservative issue. And we're all old enough to recognize the patterns and to know that it's nothing new, that it's always something that wants to drag us away from ourselves and our actual journey. I wanted to say mission, but it's way too hard, the word. It's a journey to ourselves, to our family, children, partners, mostly to ourselves, because the moment we start to understand ourselves, we start to have more what's the proper English word? We have more understanding for other people. Look at yourself from the outside perspective, and also look at your relationships from an outside perspective. Don't get into into old habits, always replay the same fights, the same games, the same tit for tat. Stay on your journey. Don't let the media machinery trick you into being back into the media cycle, where all that controls you is outrage and fear and whatever feeling, whatever emotion they produce in you. So that's my message of the day, message of the week, of the month probably. There is always something, This is not the first war that started over whatever reasons. We don't even know anymore. Do we even care anymore if it's justified, not justified? if the regime was justified, not justified? Intervention is justified and not justified? Price hikes with fuel are justified or not? It's like, yeah, they do their thing, they play their game. And I don't even know if voting in election changes anything. Maybe it does, maybe not. But what really, we're so now I have a topic anyways we are so invested, or have been so invested with politics, tribe wars, whatever it is. If it's the way we nurture ourselves, like vegans, carnivores, bodybuilders, whoever, woman versus man. I said it, yeah. We are so invested into old world versus new world, Muslims versus atheists and Christians, whatever it is. Yeah, we have all been there, and we have to acknowledge to ourselves that all this struggle and fights and even the reasoning behind it is suffocating our creative power to do anything else, and the hate is poison. Yeah, I'm not, I can be very angry, and I can be justifiably angry, and it's harder and harder to hate over the years, because after they put so many targets in front of us, and even in the alternative media, I don't know what's real anymore. What is a psyops? What is AI? What is there are so many battles that are justifiably to be fought, but all of them take us away from our real journey, which is to find ourselves, to find our niche, our place in a world that gets more crazy and superficial and faster every day. And like I said, I have to put down some links in the video description. There are more and more and more people talking about this stuff. Some are still stuck in their niches, in their wars, but they at least start to recognize that there is always I call it bait, a reason to be angry. Of course, life is not fair, and I'm also not one of those people like Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro or whoever. They say mankind, humans are born egoistic and selfish and partly evil, and it's a constant fight and strive to fight against our lowly nature. That's not true, but there are struggles, of course, in marriages, in the societal relationships between workers and entrepreneurs, and poor versus rich, however you want to call it. They're real, of course they are real, and of course they need to be fought in some way. But in my feeling, I feel like in Groundhog Day, it's repeating and repeating and repeating, and every, I don't know, decade it's the same topics again and again. This is the next thing. US attacking Iran, whatever, or Sharia police in Birmingham or wherever, Bristol, or knife attack in Berlin, or weird Australian family living in the woods in Italy. And all those things I just took up per headlines while checking my emails, because it's quite hard to escape the product placement. And there is this saying in German, it says Wissen ist Macht, so knowledge is power. But I think we got it wrong for some time. Power is not the real power is not in knowing things. The real power is in dictating what people have to know, because then you can predict the future. You can predict human behavior. You can predict societal movements and progress, because you make the knowledge, you make opinions, you make public trends. I always have to I have to change topic a bit. It's quite funny when I lick my lips like that, or I do like weird things with my tongue, because my father always did that. My father died 10 years ago. No, almost, it's 12 years ago he died. And I always found it so funny when he was thinking. He was doing crosswords and sudokus, and he was always doing like this was his thinking tongue. And now I do the same thing when I get older. I don't know what it is with the men in my family and thinking with their tongue movement. I don't know. It's funny. I have to smile and think about good things when I do it. So what's the way? What's the real journey? I don't know. Everyone has to find it for themselves. I invented God. For me, I was brought up as an atheist, but I was always very intrigued by nature and mysticism and fantasy, and then at some point I started to make up my own God. And the longer I played this game of having a religion, having a God, having a belief, not a religion, just faith and trust and mystery. The longer I played it, the more and more I recognized that my made-up God is quite near to Jesus Christ. And that's what I said in my introduction video, is that I really think that that dude was up to something. I'm not a Christian. I was brought up in a Christian nation, and I always was quite intrigued by chivalry and knights and protecting the weak and fighting for something, honor, loyalty. And so it was no surprise that I ended up believing in something, because when you're an atheist, now I'm starting to ramble, but let's go with the flow. When you're an atheist, so you believe that humans are only flesh puppets, product of their environment and evolution. You know, I have nothing against the notion of evolution. This is not what this is about. Yeah, I don't think this always has to be opposing matters. But I was quite cynical when I was an atheist, and it made me resentful, and it made me sad, weak, and childish in a way. But that was not my core. My core always was honorable. I love this topic about honor and loyalty and the friendship. And so my wife once said to me, Lino, you have a romanticized and old view and honor and loyalty that no one can satisfy anymore in this time, which is quite sad. So I also cannot really connect with Western Austrian European Christians, because for me they are all heretics in a way, because they don't really believe in God. They are brought, this is just folklore, this is just habit. They are brought up in that way, but they don't really believe when I talk about God. They all look at me like I'm talking about aliens or Bigfoot, Sasquatch. So I made up a God which was already there. So it started with there young dudes with mopeds going through the woods. Whatever. Yeah, eyes are good. Now you bark, they're already gone. Don't come back. You made too much noise here. My master is making a video. So I made up a god that was already there actually, because it's the emperor from the Warhammer 40k lore and novels. I played the tabletop game for some time, but it got quite expensive and time intensive. Now they come back and they're gone again. I don't know. Kids playing around in the woods with their toys. So I cannot tell you the whole story of the thing now. It's a god manifest. It's an avatar of humanity's spirit, and it's an omnipotent, but actually not, because he can die, maybe, probably, being that is male but doesn't have to be, who cares. But the thing is, it's a higher being that is out for the best of humanity. So that's a nice belief, that's a beautiful belief, to believe that there is an higher power that's out there and also inside of you, that wants nothing more for you than to be safe and successful and prosper. And on the other hand, there are all those beings on another plane or different planes of existence that want nothing more than to feed on your emotion. Fear, hunger, lust, anger, whatever you would call all of them, you know what I mean? And that's also a thing you feel, everyone feels. The more you engage into excessive participation of your feelings, not feelings, emotions, lust, desires, it drains you. It always drains you. To be angry, to be scared, to engage in self-satisfaction or whatever, and on, and it drains you. And so to have this counterpart, this balance between something that wants you to get you away from yourself, and some entity that wants to protect you and wants the best for you and is actually out there to on your side. And from over time it morphed, it moved, and it changed more and more into the belief of the so-called Son of God, Jesus Christ, because this is, in my opinion, the only unconditional belief system out there. The story of Jesus Christ and loving your next man, your neighbor, like yourself, and stuff like that, and for don't judge about your fellow humans, and the story about that your sins can be forgiven as long as you repent, and the sacrifice that was brought to save the soul of humanity. I find it quite intriguing and engaging, and I found out that I work better when I believe in it. And also in there comes also the placebo effect, you know, like the human mind is so powerful that we can make things happen by believing in them. So if we can make things happen by believing in them, how can there be no God that millions of or even billions of humans believe in? So what can I tell you about this topic? If you are able to start to believe, because it will make you more healthy, more emotionally stable, more happy, probably even more successful, and overall a more healthy and happy human being. This is how I cope. And back to the first topic. This is how I cope with the weird things that are going on. There's always someone out there after our emotions, wanting us to be angry, outraged, horny, hungry, greedy. And I don't believe that humans are prone to follow their deepest and lowest urges all the time. I think we are quite noble, actually, because we came up with all these constructs on our own, like honor, loyalty, protecting the weak, dying to protect others. This is all made up, because in nature, of course, animals also sacrifice themselves to a predator to protect their offspring, but not always. Sometimes they just calculate, is it smarter to just breed again? And I think we are more than animals, because we have so many romantic feelings and so many thoughts and dreams. Yeah, we're more than that. And so let's not engage in the games and the meteor circle and circle jerk, whatever you want to call it, of those weird people who always want to be outraged about something and actually wanting us to be outraged about something all the time. Let's stay calm and follow our journey in stormy times, and it was always like that. It never was different. I'm 90. I'm not 90. I'm 39 years old. To repeat myself, I'm Lino Navarra from Austria, and I'm born on the 11th of July 1986. And from the day I was born, from the day I engaged in the media circles, it was always the same, always something. Woods dying, sour rain, Chernobyl, Cold War, ozone hole, whatever. Orange man, black man, whatever man. So stop engaging. Live your own life. Turn off the TV and YouTube.